Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Baruch. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Now let's discuss the message that we heard today. Really a beautiful message from our rabbi. It's always a pleasure. So many people think that the Torah, as soon as they hear about the Torah, they think, oh no, this is a book. This is religious. I'm not a religious person. Yeah, I believe in God, but too many rules, too many regulations. Not for me. But the true message of the Torah is that it's a narrative from the very beginning of humanity, of the creation of the world. You go from the creation of human beings to the formation of a people who would be given a mandate, who would be given the commandments to bring to all the nations. And if we just simply follow these, we would all live in peace and harmony in the beautiful planet that He has given us. But because we're human, we're just the same as Adam and Eve. We have failed, and it's to admit that that we fail, and to just return, come back. That's all God is asking us. Turn back to Him, acknowledge what we've done, make it right, and we can start again. That's the beauty of the Torah. He's talking about how the Torah doesn't make uh, um, doesn't make our heroes perfect. If we can just admit that we ourselves are human, that we make mistakes, forgive ourselves, and do the same thing for others. That's what Yeshua says, forgive others as you forgive yourself. And it really begins with ourselves. He said that that Rabbi said that he saw an advertisement, and the slogan was, "Life is a journey, not a destination." And we have to remember not always to keep our eye on the goal, but to keep our eye on the day, on the journey. This is what we're doing today. How are we doing? Let's look at the things that our ancestors did and learn from their mistakes. If they do something right, imitate it. If they do something wrong, don't do it. Sounds simple, but it is not easy. It's really a very difficult process. But we have to give ourselves permission to make mistakes and permission to start again and love ourselves enough to do that, not judge others. I think that's the hardest thing is, for me, one of the hardest things is, oh, when that's happening to them, they deserve it. Look what they did. I deserve that. Look what I did. We're so hard on each other, so hard on ourselves. And that's not what God is looking for us. And our journey is all about learning how to forgive ourselves, to be truly feel forgiven, and to be able to thus forgive others. That's what happened with the boys, with these brothers when they came back and after they had buried their father, and they were worried that Joseph hadn't forgiven them. And they were willing to make themselves slaves for him, but he wept. Yes, Brian. He wept
Noted
and
that, Brian.
he wept and he assured them that that they were forgiven. And what else did he say? Um, the understanding that our final destination is to be in the presence of the living God. To me, that is absolutely amazing when you think of it, that we are going to one day live in the presence of the God who was with us from the very beginning, not only from the beginning of our birth, but He knew us before we were even born. And that to me is an awesome thing. So, the question we have to ask ourselves is, so how then do we live? How do we live here and now? Sometimes it's a very difficult one for us because we see the things that are going on in the world from the scriptures. We understand what's happening, and it's not easy to be happy, not easy to be joyful, but we have to find that the path where we're keeping our eyes on the prize, which is really keeping our eyes on God. So it really was a beautiful message. And that idea that the baby, when the baby is born, it's like a fish living in the womb, and it doesn't breathe on its own. It breathes through the umbilical cord. But the moment it goes through that birth channel and it comes out of the mother in one split second, until the baby cries, until it takes that first breath, it's almost as if it's dead and it has to be rebirthed. And that same idea is when we die, we are rebirthed into another realm, which is absolutely beautiful. And hopefully, will, I don't know, hopefully, I don't know where I'm coming from that, but I think that maybe that the death situation may be easier than the birth one. I'm not sure because I haven't experienced the death one yet. Anyway, do we have any opinions, any ideas? Miriam, are you with us? I don't
I'm
see your
still
face.
with you.
Can you
Here I
put on your
go.
camera? Because I'm feeling very
I'm putting
alone
on the
here.
camera, but the reason it wasn't on is because I'm having my smoothie, which is more than just drinking water. It's like you're chewing your smoothie. I don't want to go.
Oh, okay. So,
Anyway,
all right. So
Can,
now
can
but
I
you're
go
on.
on?
Pardon?
Can I say something?
Of course, Angel.
oh, okay. Well, can't
I
I
will.
start, finish? No? Anyway, okay.
Oh, you were Miriam, please, ladies first.
No. Okay, I won't be long. It's just that, okay. It's such a beautiful message of hope and joy. You know, the idea of the journey we're on this journey, and it could be pretty hard. Um, and we don't understand why things happen all the time, but we've got to, like you say, keep our eyes on the prize.
Right.
You know, it's a juggling act, because I remember in Christianity, I'm not Christian bashing, by the way. Anyone who's listening, I'm just talking about my experience with it, whatever. Okay. About the idea of pie in the sky. I mean, one thing very earthy and beautiful about biblical Judaism, it's you know, the value and importance of living a full life. Not the way the world says that, 20 cars and all of that stuff, obviously. But yes, there is the pie in the sky is partly true, because we are going to be born into, and be in the presence of God in a full way, which is beautiful. But don't put down the simple joys of family and love and friends and dogs and nature and all these things,
Flowers.
flowers. So it's a balance,
Mm.
What did I want to say about feeling forgiveness? That's not an easy thing, number one. And
Especially when you know that you're not. You
what's
haven't
this?
been forgiven, especially when you know you haven't been forgiven by someone.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes it's, anyway, I don't know how we could really be forgiven, and because of our own shortcomings, maybe either don't believe it or don't feel it. But I
Right.
think that has more to do with our forgiving ourselves. But when somebody else truly forgives us, and it's not just saying, well, I forgive you. I've had experiences where people say, because they know it's a thing you're supposed to do, and it's a godly thing supposedly, but it's not just, oh, I forgive you. Remember the person in the congregation who didn't believe that she said she didn't believe when people said, I forgive you. Remember, anyway, that whole
Well,
issue.
what's the point?
I'm trying, well, like, feeling forgiveness, what does that mean? If a person really, really forgives you, really from the bottom of their heart, and you don't feel it, there's something in you that's not, uh, so
Yeah.
we can't always necessarily feel it until we are able to even forgive ourselves.
Well, there's many aspects also to forgiveness, because here you may feel forgiven, but you really don't want to have anything to do with the person.
Which
You
is,
know,
I think that's different, because what Rabbi did say something which I don't fully agree with, but maybe I didn't understand. fully what he meant, but on the point that you're talking about now, that
Yeah.
when you feel forgiven, you do want to be part of. Remember he said that?
But yes, exactly. So
But
it
it's
really
not,
depends.
that's not, doesn't apply in all
It
cases.
depends on the relationship that you have with that person.
Yeah, it depends, because there are times, yes, you're right, you move on, you don't want to continue, and you believe it's healed and forgiven, but
Yeah.
there's no place in your life for that relationship.
Right. It's a little bit like Jacob and his brother Esau. You know, after they had that, well, some say that it was Esau or Esau's angel that Jacob was fighting with, and he was forgiven. But Jacob didn't want a relationship with his brother Esau anymore. He
But I'm
didn't
still not convinced
didn't
that that
trust
was
him.
Esau. You're saying
No,
it.
I know. I don't know who it was.
Yeah.
People say that, but whatever it was in Jacob, Jacob felt strong enough that he could separate himself from his brother. He didn't trust his brother.
Right.
Yeah, and so even though there was a forgiveness between the two of them because they came to bury their father together, you know, they went both of them.
Joseph from his brothers.
Pardon?
Joseph from his brothers. He said Jacob.
No, I'm talking about Jacob and Esau right now. Yeah, that's different. They both came together to bury their father Isaac, but Jacob did not want a relationship anymore with his brother Esau because he never. First, they didn't have anything in common. They lived totally different lives. One was willing to follow God, one wasn't. So when you know, there's so many aspects.
The older brother's a bully.
Pardon?
The older brother was a bully. That's why Jacob didn't trust his brother.
Right, exactly. So, you know,
My brother was a bully too, because he didn't win the fight
yeah,
with somebody else. So he comes to me,
exactly.
and I straightened out 1 year. I bent his thumb, and he's like under me.
Well, yeah, that's good. Well, you're older, but it's like you're the one who was chosen,
Yeah.
even though you're the
Younger.
younger one, but God chose you and not the older one. Very much like the boys in the Bible. It's not always the oldest one that got chosen. Angel, you wanted to say something.
Oh yeah, it was a wonderful message for Rabbi, and it's really nice what you say, uh, Miriam. What I wanted to say is that I wrote something while I was listening to Rabbi, and I wanted to share with you is that the importance of the realization of the self-created external imperfection or weakness, which if you remember how God said that he created Adam and Eve, and they were perfect. They were, you know, they were
No, he said they were very good. He never said
very good.
perfect. Yeah.
But I mean, but the problem that we have is that we have the tendency to understand that, okay, so if we are good, it doesn't mean that we know everything. So we were created as a let's say as a human, a male, female, in order to experience life and grow, you know, as through a journey in life on this planet. And this journey, okay, it was with free will, which means God allows us to experience this. Now, the problem we have with once that the religion systems were created in order to how can I say it's to control the people in a way how they believe about who God really is, and we starting to be programmed, and they run a program on humanity, and this program was that we failed, and this is that we failed, that we have you know, we are not good, that we were sinful, and we were, you know, we were rebellious, and but if that is the case, why will God give us the free will? It's
Right.
obvious that God allowed us to experience this, but now it doesn't mean that we have failed, because if you tell a children that he doesn't know, Okay, you don't, if you don't say anything to a children, and you have a cup of coffee that is super hot, and the baby goes and grabs the cup and pours it on himself, he didn't fail. He
Right.
didn't know what that was. He
Exactly.
was innocent. You cannot tell them, oh, you are failing, you are a failure. You're gonna tell your children, you are a failure, you have failed, and because of that you have to repent. No, the children learn the less time that he sees the cup. There's some children that will, probably do it again. It will take a couple times, 3, 4 times.
Right.
But some of the other ones that they will see really, last time really I burned myself, or I got a lot of bubbles in my hand, right?
Right.
So this is one. Now, for coming back what I was saying, the importance of the realization of the self-created external imperfection or weakness, okay? And the realization that within us there is that immortal and perfection essence of who really we are, a portion spark of the Ruach that will teach us that our holiness is in all of us, that our physical or external appearance is a reflection of that magnificence that can't be blocked, hidden, or ignored unless we consciously put a veil of a preconceptual external teachings or ideas that religiously we give importance and energy to. Now, the final destination, as the Rabbi say, isn't the most important, but the journey and the learning experience of this life, knowing that the Creator Ruach Spirit, Eternal One, lives in each of and lives in on each of us, so that we will live in this life with so I don't know, with that we will live in life with Him in perfect union, in perfect oneness with the Creator, with the Spirit. Now this journey is individual, and the decision to walk with the Creator is the real halakha. It's walking with our internal self, Spirit, God Creator portion, and many haven't see it yet. It takes being born again and relearning what we are already in learning that we are already in the presence of God, and that learning, once that we learn that, you are not dependent to any external and anything. God is within us. We don't depend about doing certain traditions that tell you if you don't do that, you're not going to be blessed, or if you don't do that, it's about it's individual, of course. Each one has to go forward and decide to search,
Well, I just have one thing to say about that, Angel, is that according to my understanding of what I read in the Torah, is that we don't choose God, He chooses us. I'm not sure Noah understood about an all supreme creator being until he was spoken to. The same with Abraham. There's something that God, he's the one who opens our eyes. It says in the Torah, in the scriptures, that we have eyes, but we cannot see. We have ears, but we cannot hear, and even Paul said, none of us can boast because the faith that's within us is a gift, and it's God's gift. We don't make the choice, but once we are introduced to God, once God introduces Himself to us, that's when our true journey with Him begins.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
Can I just
Yeah.
say
It's
something?
when God connects to you.
Ankel, do you mind just one thing to just contribute to this? I agree with what you said and what you just said, Peggy, totally. But just to guard against arrogance, or not even arrogance, but misunderstanding, like when you said about Brian, that he chose him, just that we fully understand, it's not that he didn't choose everybody. God wants all of us to turn to him. So it's not that, oh, he chose me, but he didn't choose my brother. It's not, it's that's a bit simplistic in the sense that it could be misinterpreted, and it could be like it could lead to, oh, why he chose me, but he didn't choose.
But it has led to that in the world,
Exactly, but
unfortunately.
this is
Yeah, but that's
about the
important, like
chosen,
just
about the chosen Miriam and Peggy. Do you know how God, you know, we have an understanding about the quantum realm. If you know about quantum mechanics, you know that there is a process how God can listen to every single soul in the entire universe
Amazing.
at the same time. And where that connection starts from spirit in us, in each single. So when we see about when God says, oh, but God talked to, it's because the connection that these men, Moshe, Joseph, from within, God talked to him, right? And the
Yeah.
difference between Jacob or Esau, or one will listen, the other one we wouldn't care. But it doesn't mean that he wouldn't care. It was evil and it was a bad in case of Esau. No, he did not open. He probably was not yet ready to open his heart. We call our heart or our spirit, you know.
Spiritual eyes or spiritual ears.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's evil. Religion has a tendency of anyone who is not, you know, they already disqualify, because that is what holds the power. Who is the people in these religious systems who hold the power? The ones that are considered the most saint in Christianity. All the saints that are all idolized, and even the idolized Jesus as a god, which is not, we know. And because they give the power to that, but the power is not there. That is a great misleading thing. The power is in the spirit, that it's in every single one. It will be unfair that God sends you, give you life, and it doesn't give you, first of all, it gives you the free will, but it has a process that you have to grow. You cannot start running when you're a little baby, that you walk with your four, you know, arm, with your two arms, and you cannot. It takes a process of learning and evolving and becoming, you know, a young kid, then a teenage, and after an adult.
Which is our life.
But this is part of that. So
Yeah.
it's about the journey. It's never about the end. But it's in every one of us. It's about not limiting ourselves, okay, and never limiting what God can do.
No, exactly. And
So God is in
or
each
just
one single one of us. What do you think? How do you think that all these miracles happen? Do you think that the miracles happen because Yeshua touched the people? In some cases, he made those miracles healing people, but to prove you that he could even, how could someone heal someone without touching him? Only by the presence of God in that individual person, miles away, if you there is some cases that people healing miraculously when praying, interceding, that they are miles away. Why that happens? Because of God, because of the Spirit.
yeah, only God can do that. Exactly. And the choosing of what I was saying, Miriam, that we don't choose it. God chooses.
no,
You know,
I agree with that.
He said, Jacob I have loved, and Esau I hated. I looked up the word in the Hebrew, and it did say I hated. And not necessarily he hated the person, but he hated the choices that Esau made.
No,
And
but that's
and
what my
because of that,
point, I
you know,
agree with that. All
yeah,
I'm saying is, when you said to Brian, I don't know how Brian received that, I'll ask you, but Yeah, I'm just saying it's what you say I totally agree with, but just
Yeah,
how
he
it
chose
could
to
be
open.
understood is that he didn't choose Brian and not, let's say, choose his brother. It's like, well, you're not chosen.
Well,
It's
you
not,
don't know that. Maybe
no,
he
no, no,
didn't.
no, no. What I mean is everybody, God does not want anybody not to be part of his kingdom. He doesn't say, I don't want you, I want Miriam and Brian or it's Peggy. I'm just saying how it could be understood. I understand what you mean, but it's very mysterious. Like why we all have the spark of God. I really believe that we all do, including the non-chosen, Esau, including him.
Yes.
And the free will is what we do with what we have in our life. So I'm just saying to guard against arrogance. I believe totally what you
Did I
said.
come across as being
No, not that, no, not at all about you, but the statement. No, no, no. Like I don't know how Brian understood that. Brian, how, it's not about Brian is better than his brother.
I didn't know. I
No, you didn't
understand what you're
say
saying.
that.
No,
Peggy, nothing about what you said, what it could be understood as, and it's important because it is a mystery.
but that's what's causing the divide, the great divide in the world, is that people are saying, who do you think you are? You were chosen and we're not.
But
That's
that's important to
but that's
address.
very important.
But ladies, this is what I was telling you. It's because these people, they are not looking through the eyes of the creator, through the eyes of spirit.
Exactly.
They are only measuring people through the veil that consists in preconceptual external teachings and religiosity, which are, which are, they have given all power and they have given all importance, but they have not given importance what is right. God, every time God says about you have to do always what is right, whether you like it or not. And you know how you know that you're doing right? Because from within, God confirms it. Every time you do something right, you know that is right. You don't know how, but you are 100% sure that you're right. But when you are doing something wrong to someone, it's always because you are fearing, you are fear, you have, how to call it? You are in fear, in fear, okay? And it's just a simple reaction because you want, okay, to defend what you have protected for so many years and from so many teachings that you have learned that you don't want to change because this is how you accepted it. But it doesn't mean that you are, you're going to stay like this forever. It's up
This
to
is why the rabbi said we have to do constant self-examination, always
said to me,
being
oh God,
willing.
and know my heart. So this is when we find God.
Exactly.
Search in our hearts, we find
Yeah.
it there.
And it doesn't happen overnight. It's like a journey, like the stages of the lives that we're going to continue to read, beginning in Shemot.
Yeah, but look at this, and I'm going to give you an example too. That we read from the previous parashas, with the life of Joseph. There is two things that we keep. Some people can, we focus on other things in the parasha, but we keep missing these two. First of all, the acknowledge of a pharaoh king that a Hebrew like Joseph was in with the capacity of being in harmony with the creator to the point that he could determine and talk about the future and give the instructions from the spirit. Okay.
I'm very confused. You started speaking
Okay.
about the Pharaoh.
Yeah, the
And
pharaoh.
that's something that
This
we
is
don't
one.
understand, that we've
That is one.
ignored.
It's that basically is that the pharaoh discovered the presence of the real God, the only creator, okay, in a man, which is the revelation of the spirit that lives in humanity, in every human being. But in that case, Joseph was connected with the creator. You know what I mean? So this is a clear example on Joseph. We saw in Joseph, and not only that, we saw also that the others, other that they were kings and that were worshiping other gods. Remember that. They were worshiping different gods and different ideas of who God was, and they had all these different gods for every aspect of their life in Egypt. And
Right. So
But
you're
he-
saying that the Pharaoh did recognize that in Joseph.
remember when Joseph died, and the Torah says, and there was another Pharaoh that
Didn't
did
know
not know.
Joseph.
Exactly. Why?
Yeah, from you, you
You-
touch.
Because
Because he knew that that Joseph walked with God, with spirit. And when you walk with spirit, you are a perfect bridge. You are a bridge from the other side of the veil to this physical world.
I agree with it that we're a bridge, but I'm not so sure we're so perfect. Brian, you wanted to say something? I put you on mute because there's somebody came into your room and it was blocking Angel. Unmute yourself.
they make a mistake in the menu. They're telling a lie. Says
Okay, they made a mistake in the menu. And what does that have to do with our portion?
Because they're lying when they say they give me pears and they only give me peaches. They wrote down pears
Maybe they ran out of pears. How do you know they're lying? Why don't you ask them?
because it was peaches.
Yeah,
just
but
don't-
maybe they ran out of them. Maybe they had a certain amount, and then those.
No, don't make me balance like that. Wrong.
Okay. Okay,
Yaakov
well,
would
so
have chosen pears. That's how.
yeah,
it was.
exactly. So you just have to say thank you for the pears instead of getting upset that they weren't peaches.
I hate peaches, but they're not pears.
Oh well.
Peaches are Esau, pears are Yaakov.
Okay. Thank you, Brian, for that very, very deep understanding. It was funny listening to your name and Mildred's name, eh? That Rabbi was speaking about.
Yeah,
you.
right.
Yeah, it's as if he's still here right now. It's amazing. Anyway, my friends, thank you for this, for joining in with us today with our service. Oh, Brian, yes. What else do you want to say? Hold on. More about peaches?
Can't hear you, Brian.
You're still
Are
on
you
mute.
coming tomorrow?
No, not tomorrow. The last month, the last Sunday of the
Yeah,
month.
at 29th,
The
right?
29th, exactly. Not that. And I'm grateful because I
I'm
still,
here.
is your floor still under quarantine where you are?
Still a bug here.
Do you still
They
have
say
a
it might
bug?
finish Sunday.
Is the bug named Brian? Okay. Well, I want to say thank you, everybody. Shabbat shalom. Enjoy the rest of your
Shalom.
day.
Bye-bye.
Shabbat
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom to everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
God bless you.
Bye,
Shabbat shalom.
Theo.
Bye, Tia.
Adios, amigos.
And may Andres have a safe journey home.
Amen,
Yes,
amen.
yes, amen.
Bye.
Amen.